What was the hardest part about, knocking on somebody's door and being like, "Hey, we want to acquire you," to actually getting that deal done? Was it, the personnel? Was it, what sort of struggles did you hit?
That is, I think, something to seriously consider when you think about who's acquiring you, and that will help you as a founder understand why, I guess, the whole like acquisition process better. And put yourself in like their shoes, because they're really just trying to underwrite certain things so that they know what's going to happen with the business for the next 5 years. They know what they're going to do. Like they have their plan. They're just the diligence process for the acquirer is just about building their plan for the future, really, and making sure they feel like secure in it.
It's not just getting them to subscribe and click that button, but it's what are you doing? What value are you providing them after? There's so much that goes into it, but it's about transparency, communication, making it easy for someone to manage their subscription, and creating, again, benefits, member benefits to subscribing.
So making sure you're optimizing each journey for them, specifically a curated journey, but also that flexibility allows them to create their own journey, right? And dictate what's most conducive to their own lifestyle and not what a brand's research is saying or what we're assuming, right? How a consumer would be using a product.
So what's been kind of the toughest part about building this business up?
But essentially, we didn't have a proper hiring system set up. So we hired a lot of people without having the time and resources to properly vet them, to make sure that they were the right fit. Um, and we made a lot of bad hires, especially during that time period. And we got really bloated as a team. So that is one of the biggest mistakes I would say is like have your hiring system figured out, know the type of people that are going to fit well with your team, make sure that that's what they want to do, because sometimes it wasn't even that they weren't a good fit with us.
The point is you have to, in this age where you have a lot of people writing, and I don't believe everything is of good quality, but at least you need, if you are actually sharing valuable information, then I think it is the writer's responsibility to make sure that the reader clicks and reads it. And if they believe that it's actually something valuable, I'm not talking about clickbait and nonsensical lists, but yeah, so that I think was a massive unblock for me when I started writing, because I just assumed that people would want to read what I wrote, and that is a, a rude awakening that most people get when nobody wants to read it. So,
So this is a season in many cases for entrepreneurs because it's a season of uncertainty. And part of what excites me about the future is that when there is this kind of change, there's a lot of fresh dirt, if you will, to grow with. It's not a great season for big sort of entrenched businesses sometimes that don't have the agility to adjust and adapt. But it's a good time to be an entrepreneur, in my opinion, because there's a lot of opportunity being created at the same time there's disruption.
That's what a lot of people don't understand or never get to experience. It's the freedom that comes with entrepreneurship. And then, the possibilities, there are endless possibilities when you become an entrepreneur. That's the beauty of it.
Exactly, exactly. And I wanted to ask you, what have you seen as the most challenging thing about like audience building and Twitter in your experience? Because I feel like you went from still feel like I remember it. Just went from like trying to figure out how to approach the writing side of things, being consistent, doing all these things, and I feel like one day you just text and you'd be like, dude, I just got like crazy amounts of followers. I posted this thread, it just went absolutely bananas. Like now I'm understanding like what people want. So what's been sort of the toughest part for you? Was it the sort of beginning stages, or is it now just to keep the momentum and the I guess the level of, because you put in a lot of work into those images and different things like that, keeping that level of quality up so that people know what to expect?
So I don't know what works and what doesn't, because who knows? It seems a lot like who knows. And then the hardest thing is not like, so my goal this whole year was to follow my energy and do more of things that give me energy and less of things that don't. So Twitter can give me energy, but it can also suck it out of me, because there's other people that I'm friends with that have grown 40,000 followers in half the time. Like 5 or 10 people have done that I know of. So like my progress is very steady and very slow in comparison, with like how I'm focused on growth and not just on being there and presence. I want to grow.
But just in a general sense, when you were even working for the nonprofit side of things and all that, what is sort of that underlying thing that you're seeing people? Is it imposter syndrome? Is it fear? Is it what is that underlying thing that most people, like you'd say 99% people have this thing in common, and I always have to touch on that when I talk to somebody or I'm coaching somebody?
Ooh, that's such a good question. There's something that's being born of our time and culture. I have two answers, but I'll take this one first. I think with COVID, we had a lot more time and space to reassess, to reflect, to consider. And so I think for a lot of people, there have been some really big questions about another great quote, Mary Oliver, what am I going to do with this one precious life I have? Right? So there's been sort of a re-questioning. I think that's just a result of time and space that we were given.
I was no, I was about to ask you, how did you manage, even like, I mean, you put out some crazy ass content. I'm sure it requires a lot of research. Like, how the hell did you manage putting that shit out when you're working 90 to 100-hour weeks? Like, that's insane, dude.
Yeah, it was.
Is that passion? Is that passion you're talking about? Is that like, I need to fucking do this because I want to get the fuck out of here?
Right. I mean, part of it, man, was like if uh, I felt like I was in control of my destiny, like if I work harder, I make more money, or if I work harder, I have the opportunity to do what I want to do. Um, Whereas before, working for someone else, if you work harder, you get a better pat in the back, you know? Um, and so that fired me up.
One thing I might add, just to both, I don't want to speak for Brian, but I know Brian well enough to know that this is also true. But or Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, but like it also takes like a lot of time, and like you have to be consistent. And there's a lot of really tough, shitty times where you put something out and you're like, I think this is amazing. Everybody's going to care and love this, and like nobody gives a shit. And you have to be willing and okay to be like, that might happen a lot, a lot, a lot. And just like keep being okay with that. I mean, there are even some times where I'm like, oh, this is going to be amazing. 6 people care or whatever. Like, and I think that is such an important aspect. It's not as if everything is just like perfect, at least for me, not as if everything's perfect now and like things are going swell. Like, there's still a ton of really hard and bad shit that's consistently happening.
If you get so caught up in being right all the time, you're never going to see the beauty in being wrong.
Exactly.
Like
You'll never
there's,
learn because you're going to always
but
feel like you have all the answers.
but there's true beauty in the mistakes we make. Like that's why in improv we say there's no mistakes, because like you really are giving yourself to the moment and just going. We are making the choice to accept each other right now, which is not something people consciously do and say. We don't enter
Exactly.
meetings and go, we're all going to accept each other no matter what comes out of mouths in this meeting.
Right.
No,
Right.
no, we play a little game where we dance with our words, where we say things without saying them. Maybe we have a statement, but we say it in the form of a question.